Greetings. Today's recipe comes from the book, The Medieval Cookbook by Maggie Black, and the recipe is fried fig pastries. I have a lot of figs growing on our tree outside, and so it's time to make another recipe using our homegrown figs. It's summer and it's getting really hot here in Phoenix. My figs are getting ripe, but they're also getting, I think, a little sunburned because it's so hot. That they're golden figs. This recipe is called fried fig pastries. This recipe is from Curye on Inglysh, which is maybe the cooking of England or of the English. It's a 14th century manuscript. And it starts with tortelettes in friture, so fried torts. Take figs and grind them small, and do therein saffron and powder fort. Close them in foils of dough, and fry them in oil. Clarify honey and flame it therewith. Eat them hot or cold. The ingredients include 1 pound of dried figs. I haven't weighed them yet, but these are golden figs from my garden, and probably a pound, probably more than a pound. Powder fort, which I've discussed in previous videos. Spice powder, powder strong or powder fort. 1/4 teaspoon of dried saffron. 1/4 teaspoon of salt, using pink Himalayan salt. 1 egg separated and 1 egg white, so I got a couple of eggs there. 6 to 7 sheets of phyllo or strudel pastry. So I picked up some phyllo dough. I was going to try to make pastry, but this seems a little easier just to buy it, because I wasn't exactly sure what texture it would be to wrap these up in. Oil for frying, I'm using canola oil, which is rapeseed oil, named after the Canadian oil company that produces it, canola. And some warmed clear honey to drizzle over the top of that. And I'm going to deep fry them in a cast iron pot on the stove. So here's the pound of golden figs chopped up. The nice thing about golden figs, if you haven't had them, is their seeds are soft, so they don't have that crunch like a regular fig, such as in a fig Newton. Generous ½ teaspoon sprinkled over the minced figs, and the 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And then we want the yolk of 1 egg, we're going to mix the yolk up and then pour that over the top as well. And then this will all be combined together. The saffron, roughly a 1/4 teaspoon. It's actually less than that because it's not packed tightly. And I've learned that it doesn't work well if you just put it in dry. The color doesn't seem to spread as much. And then we'll put that on top as well. Blending this all together before it goes into the phyllo dough. The recipe called for 1 egg and 1 egg yolks, and it's using the 2 egg whites to whip into a froth. I just used a fork to paint onto the phyllo dough. I had a leftover egg yolk, didn't know what to do with it, so I went ahead and mixed it in with the rest of the figs. It gives it a really nice yellow color between the saffron and the egg yolk and the golden figs. So we put the egg white on top of the dough. That's what the instructions said. And then the fig mix on the bottom. What is that? Maybe a tablespoonful. We'll kind of play around with it, see how much filling to go in there. So maybe a little more than a tablespoon on that one. And then just take the 1 leaf of phyllo dough and roll it up. If I can separate it here. Okay, maybe 2. Just like that. So the egg is going on the inside. Pinch the ends together, push the stuffing in. Something like an egg roll. How's that look? We'll put that right there and make some more. Okay, in this one I'm doing a little bit of experimentation. I've got this one is 2 sheets thick. This one is 3 sheets thick of the phyllo dough, just to see how well those work. They've been brushed with the egg white. Two sheets seems to work very well. They look better than the ones that had 1 sheet. This one has 3 sheets, a little more narrow though. The 3 sheets seems a little too thick. And the ends aren't crimping. So I think the answer is the 2 sheets. We'll start frying the rolls now that the oil's up to about 325, 340, 350 is where we want to do the frying. Put in 2 at a time. Because it's shallow oil, I've got to turn them. We'll get them to a nice golden brown and then take them out. I started with the oil on high heat. I've turned it down to medium heat now. They look like they're cooking up really well. Do about 4 at a time, seems pretty good, so I can space them apart. Keep an eye on each one.
Here they are, freshly cooked. They look delicious, but now we have to add the honey on top. The recipe says you can put the warmed honey on it and then serve them hot or cold. So obviously with warm honey, you probably want to serve them warm still. So these are hot ones. Drizzle honey over the top.
Today's recipe was from a 14th century manuscript, and it was figs with powder fort, rolled in phyllo dough and deep fried, which makes it nice crusty outside and then the soft sweet inside. The flavor from the powder fort, strong powder, is very prevalent in here. And that does take some getting used to because it is a spice mix that I've described in previous videos that's different from the common spices that we use today. It has a stronger flavor. I like it, it's a good flavor. If you're not used to the medieval spices, you might consider just using maybe some cinnamon or some cinnamon and ginger without all of the other flavorings. This is a recipe that you can make in advance and refrigerate or even freeze the rolls and then serve them with the heated honey on top so they have the warm honey on them when you serve them. Thank you for watching my video.